Hey, welcome back. I'm Ferrikster, here to bring you some more Pokemon Go GBL battles. These battles are played in Ultra League Premier Classic, a meta I was very much looking forward to, and I am not sure how I feel about my team. So, this is not my team. This is a team that I was using at the beginning of this set before I shuffled it around and decided to use something else because that tree there was a real problem. Gallade used to be one of my favorite leads, but now there were so damn many people running Trevenant. It just doesn't feel like an amazing lead right now. Like, if Trevenant, kind of falls out of favor, becomes less popular, then maybe Gallade will make sense again. But for right now, with there being a freaking forest out there, yeah, it does not work right now. So I was leading Gallade, and I had Lapras and Snorlax in the back. I tried switching Lapras into Trevenant, and it stayed in for a while, built up energy, damaged me, and then switched out, and my energy had nowhere to go into Lapras because I was running Ice Beam Surf. You can't really hurt another Lapras with that set. So I am in a really bad spot this match. Gallade's going to land a Leaf Blade, and I'm going to be able to Confusion down. The Lapras went down with a Surf, so that's something. And Snorlax is kind of a wall-ish to Trevenant, so, I'll be able to sponge up this damage. The Seed Bomb hits for neutral and doesn't really do that much. But my opponent also has a Nidoqueen back there, so my two shields and their two shields leave me at a hefty disadvantage because Nidoqueen, with its defense drop and its emphasis on fast move pressure, in the twos, I really cannot win this with Lax. So I get one shield off of my opponent, which is helpful, but not going to be enough. My opponent is Smash King, by the way, very popular streamer. You should definitely check him out, and he is on my Sylph faction, the Elite TMs, along with a lot of other people. So definitely go and check him out on Twitch if you haven't already. So I bring Gallade out, and I am kind of forced to shield this, and I'm trying to at least squeeze in a Confusion to give myself some space to work with here, and it is just not happening. Switches out into Trevenant and just Shadow Claws me the rest of the way down, but I didn't have a lot of places to go in this matchup, and that wasn't the first time it happened. It had happened a couple times in the previous set. So I was like, you know what? I am tired of these damn trees. I'm going to run Unfezant. Unfezant is not something that anyone uses, and the reason is because it's not that good. There's not a lot of other ways to say that. Unfezant is not really that great. I stuck Venusaur in the back because I'm like, I don't know, this will cover Unfezant's weakness to, I don't know, general things. Unfezant not particularly strong against stuff, and Venusaur is decent if I remember properly. That's not actually true anymore either. Venusaur is not good against Trevenant. Poison hits Trevenant for neutral, so the coverage move Sludge Bomb hits for neutral, and it just doesn't hit hard enough to be very impactful because Venusaur will get taken out by a single Shadow Ball along with all of those Shadow Claws. Trevenant will end up leaving the match with energy. It's honestly a terrible matchup. So after using this and getting shut down by Muck also, kind of ended up thinking better of that and didn't end up keeping Venusaur, but did like the way Unfezant completely walls trees. Makes sense. Trees, not super good against birds, generally. But yeah, Unfezant's normal and flying typing leaves it with a double resistance to Ghost and a single resistance to Grass. So since, Shadow Ball hits harder, that is how much the single resisted Seed Bomb does, and this here is how much the double resisted Shadow Ball does. Oh wait, no, this isn't that game where they alternated. So I'm just going to have to throw this here, which is probably a little bit too late. I left myself a little bit lower than I would have wanted to. What I needed to do was actually just throw a little earlier, but I'm still getting the hang of Unfezant, and I had forgotten how much the Superpower does to Obstagoon because it does that much, which is not quite enough. If I had gotten in one extra Air Slash, then I would have been in a much better spot, which really just means if I had thrown my Sky Attack earlier against Trevenant, then I would have been able to get in 2 or 3 Air Slashes, I would have been able to flip that matchup. So that's on me. All right, next up. It's Unfezant into Toxicroak. And I believe this is Haydonis. Switches into Snorlax, which is a pretty decent answer to Unfezant, to be honest. So I'm just going to switch out to my own Snorlax. Like, we're both switch locked here, but I'm not expecting a superpower first, because at his health range, that would enable me to one-shot with a superpower, whereas if he just throws the Body Slam and I superpower, he'll survive. So I forgot that and threw the superpower anyway, and now this could be a superpower, and if it is, it'll KO, so I'm going to shield, and it was. So good thing I shielded that. I do know that they are going to be able to reach another move, so I'm just going to spam out this Body Slam here, and I get a shield. So definitely shielding so that they can get out another move. But I'm going to no-shield anyway, and it turns out to be superpower. So my opponent has one switch, but that doesn't matter, because now that I have Swampert and Unfezant, they are both very strong answers to Toxicroak. So I am just going to go straight Hyper Beam. For those of you who don't know, Unfezant learns Sky Attack, Hyper Beam, which hits quite hard because it has Stab, and Heat Wave. So it's going to be Sky Attack with either Heat Wave, which is an okay coverage move if there was Steel, but since there really isn't right now, it just made sense to just bring Hyper Beam. Also, it means that you can beam things, which is very satisfying at times, like what it did to that Lapras. That just filled me with joy. So I'm able to bring Swampert back out on this Toxicroak, take him out, and I left myself with enough energy so that I could get to this Hydro Cannon, no problem. But Swampert would survive a Surf from this health range anyway, so that is a GG. So I managed to take that game. The Unfezant Hyper Beam. Actually, quite a few people end up getting hyper beamed in the course of these games. Next up against Johnny718. Unfezant into Charizard. So this is like, you know, two Pokemon who are hitting each other for mostly neutral, so it's not really a great matchup for Unfezant. Unfezant kind of needs a type advantage in order to perform well. I'm going to switch out to Snorlax to soak up some of this energy. Like, if this is a Blast Burn, it'll hurt a lot, but it would have killed Unfezant, so, yeah, better to soak it up on Snorlax, although my opponent then switches out into a Roserade, which isn't really a Snorlax counter. So, yeah, when this came out, I was kind of regretting not having shielded the Blast Burn, because that would have enabled me to force my way into Switch, which would have been really nice. I'm not going to shield here, because I am quite confident this is just a Weather Ball, because nothing else makes sense, and it does do kind of a lot, but so does my Air Slash. I'm going to shield this second Weather Ball so that I can, you know, leave here with this energy. And let's see what's going to come out. And it is a Lapras. So, yeah, that's rough. So Unfezant doesn't really have a ton of play there against Lapras. I'm going to send out Swampert, and I am just going to spam out my Sludge Bomb. Or, sorry, my Sludge Wave. No, I guess I'm not. Opponent tried to make a catch, did not go for it, but I am going to have to throw this Hydro Cannon because I have, you know, I'm like full on energy and I just don't have the ability to store up more, so it didn't make sense to build up more. So I'm going to throw this Sludge Wave, and it gets shielded, which is pretty rough for me. I'm going to have to shield this because I need to be able to hit this Lapras with my Sludge Wave, and I also need to be able to land a Sky Attack. That is the only way I was going to take it out. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to quite go that way. If I had gotten away with baiting, then, you know, that might have been enough, because I think one Sludge Bomb plus this Sky Attack that I'm going to land would have been enough to take Lapras out. Yeah, definitely. But, yeah, it was a 50-50 shot whether they were going to, you know, call the bait or not, and Johnny did, and he managed to take me out. And that's a GG. Next up, against Alpha Haydonis. So, Haydonis is running Yanmega, which is another thing that, like, it's not great. You know, probably loses a lot of its neutral matchups, just like Unfezant. Clearly, Haydonis and I are taking this Ultra Premier Classic thing really, really seriously. Gonna throw this Hydro Cannon and get a shield off this Zard, which is fine. I am going to shield this first move, I guess this time, is a Dragon Claw. Even if it was a Blast Burn, obviously Swampert would be fine, so I'm not super sure why I shielded that, nor why Haydonis threw the Dragon Claw, but okay. I get another shield, which is, you know, Also unusual. Kind of makes me think maybe I should have shielded, but I decided to no shield anyway. Ends up being a Dragon Claw, so good no shield. And I am going to shield this, I think. No, I'm not. Jeez. Well, I mean, clearly my opponent is like shielding a Charizard against Swampert. It can't possibly be that great against Swampert. I should really be saving my Swampert. That's all right. Gonna throw this Hydro Cannon, take him out, and there's an Empoleon back there. So, yeah, actually that's fine. Because my Swampert actually isn't carrying Earthquake. So all I'm going to be able to do is throw that Hydro Cannon, do that chip damage, and now I'm going to bring out Snorlax, and all I really need to do is get to a Superpower and land that, and that will take Empoleon out. And Charizard is too low to really take out both Snorlax and Unfezant. I'm going to throw this at the last minute so that I'm closer to reaching my Body Slam in case I actually have to get there. Land that, and then I'm going to switch out to Unfezant and just build up to and throw this Hyper Beam. And Hyper Beam down this Zard. Someone managed to take that game. That's a GG. This was Haydonis. I thought I fought Haydonis earlier. Now I forget who's who. Maybe that was Hafu before. Anyway, I'm going to take that 2 out of 5. Not amazing, but it's a start. So, Unfezant into Gengar. Unfezant is pretty strong against Gengar because of the double resistance to Ghost, especially if Gengar, you know, doesn't have a move that actually can really hit Unfezant pretty hard. I mean, the Focus Blast would hit for neutral, so it would probably kill. Sludge Bomb, I think Unfezant would survive. But, you know, Gengar would end up losing a lot of health in the process of getting there, so it just wouldn't really be worth it, especially if we started taking it into the multi-shield, and if they weren't baiting. So I have my Snorlax here against my opponent's Snorlax, land the Superpower, and manage to take them out. I was really surprised they didn't shield that, and I'm going to get countered down. So that's rough. I'm going to bring Unfezant out, and I'm going to have to shield this, because the Night Slash would definitely KO from here. Leaf Blade also would probably have KO'd. Kind of makes me think maybe they have Leaf Blade Brave Bird, because otherwise why wouldn't you have thrown the other thing? Regardless, I'm going to bring Swampert out here. I am going to throw this Hydro Cannon and pick up this shield. And I managed to sneak in a Mud Shot, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to shield this, and it should be a Leaf Blade, and I should be able to get my next Hydro Cannon out and take him out. But didn't throw it right away because I was kind of expecting a switch in, and yeah, it was there. So Swampert is going to now throw its Hydro Cannon anyway, which won't KO Gengar. And I'm going to try to build up extra energy. I can take this Shadow Punch, not by much, build up to back-to-back, and now I'm going to throw this first Hydro Cannon and then just spam out my next one. Barely survived that, but that was actually what I needed to do because Sirfetch'd will win CMP and was only one counter away. So this was really my only play. It was a really, really narrow window to manage to win that game, but I did manage to take it, and that is a GG. Why is this working? I don't know. I was wondering that also. Next up, against House Stark, another amazing battler. He is opening with Drapion. This is a shiny Hundo best buddy Drapion, because you can't use XL Candy here, and that is the max CP that it can come to without XL Candy. So I'm going to no-shield the first Crunch, and he doesn't get the debuff, but it wouldn't matter even if he did, because another Crunch will clearly KO me. I'm going to throw this Sky Attack, and I get a shield, which is fine. He's going to throw one Poison Sting and then throw his next Crunch. I'm going to shield this because I know I'm going to be able to get to my next Sky Attack. And I'm, you know, if Stark wants to, you know, use his last shield here, that will be okay for me, even if he takes me out, because then I can bring Swampert in, kind of farm up extra energy. But he doesn't, so Unfezant actually manages to take that in the ones. I do get farmed down by Empoleon, but that is not so bad. And I'm going to send out Snorlax here. Hopefully this is the right choice. Like, Swampert would be okay against Empoleon, even though I don't have Earthquake. Could always fake it. Going to absorb that first Hydro Cannon, and now I'm going to throw this Superpower right before they get to the next one. If they want to shield, fine, I will Mirror Shield. If they no shield, this will KO, and actually no shields, and it does KO. And there's a Shadow Exeggutor in the back. What even is this team? But he's probably wondering that about me too, because why is this guy running Unfezant? What is wrong with Ferrikster? Gonna shield this Seed Bomb because it will definitely KO, and I don't really need shields right now. I need health because Snorlax is too low to survive more than like a Confusion. Ends up shielding that. It probably should have baited, and I'm not quite able to get this last Hydro Cannon out because Exeggutor wins CMP. Manages to take me out. I'm really, really low, but I'm going to be able to get out this this Body Slam and still be able to get in some extra licks. This won't KO, but the subsequent licks will, and I just barely managed to take that game. If it had required even one additional lick, it would have been a simultaneous KO, and at 2 additional licks, it would have been a loss. So really, really narrow. Next up against Renegade, another amazing battler. I think he was top 10 at the time this battle was played. And he is opening with a shiny Snorlax that comes to $24.99. So usually when I see a rare shiny, I assume the IVs aren't that good, but for all I know, the IVs might be great. Definitely something that I have done myself to mind game because it makes my Swampert look like it's not great, but my Swampert actually has great IVs, even though it's shiny. So this could be the same thing, but like shiny Snorlax is really rare. I don't even have one. Have to no-shield this Cross Chop. I'm going to bring Unfezant back out, and not going to throw my move because I figure I will lose CMP anyway, so just going to farm down. Absorb that Cross Chop, not that big of a deal. I mean, you know, does a ton of damage, hits for neutral. Snorlax going to come back out, and I am just going to spam out this Sky Attack. And I get a shield. So that is fine with me. I'm going to shield here, which is kind of a mistake because I try to get this next Sky Attack out, and they get to their Body Slam. Kind of have to let this go. I do survive it, and I'm going to switch out and save that Sky Attack in case I need it later. And Snorlax is staying in. So I build up to what could be an Earthquake, and now I'm just going to throw a Hydro Cannon. I don't think an Earthquake would KO from here regardless, so going straight Hydro Cannon would definitely be the right move. This is not a Shadow Snorlax. And from how much that did, makes me think that Snorlax actually does have pretty good IVs. So I'm just going to throw this next Hydro Cannon. I know Snorlax has a bunch of energy and is getting pretty close to another move, and they shield, and that was a CMP tie, so I'm going to Mirror Shield. They shielded, so clearly whatever's in the back doesn't want to deal with Swampert, and that's because it's a Nidoqueen, and Nidoqueen very much does not want to deal with Swampert. So I Fast Move Deny, and I'm going to get this Hydro Cannon out, and I'm actually just going to spam out this next one as soon as I have it, right as they are reaching their Earth Power. So that was a CMP tie that I won. And Snorlax is going to come back out, but I'm going to be able to outpace it to the Hydro Cannon, and even if I didn't, Unfezant has a Sky Attack loaded, and that is a GG. And I managed to take that game. I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel that it should be working, and it just keeps kind of. So next up against That Boy Jay. Shout out to Jay, another one of my teammates on the Sylph Faction Elite TMs. Who is opening with Poliwrath? I desync a little bit there and lose like 2 turns. So Poliwrath gets an extra Mud Shot, but like I was looking at this and like that's not really going to help that much. I also wasn't able to Fast Move Deny here, so he gets another Mud Shot in. So pulling ahead of me a little bit in energy. I get a shield, which is fine, and then I don't even get to throw a move, and he throws a Mud Shot and then throws his Ice Punch, even though he already snuck one in before. I don't know what that is. Gonna switch out at the last second and snipe me with a Scav, which makes a lot of sense. Like, that would have happened regardless of the Mud Shots being snuck through. The real issue with the extra Mud Shots that my opponent has gotten is that it has given Poliwrath more energy that he is swapped out with. So I have to be very cognizant that Poliwrath has a lot of energy. So I'm just going to throw this Hydro Cannon here, and I should spam out my next one before this turn because Escavalier wins CMP against Swampert, which I had apparently not learned my lesson last time. So I am just going to undercharge this a little bit, but not nearly enough for a Scav to survive. That was a terrible undercharge. Poliwrath is going to come back out, and I'm going to spam out this Hydro Cannon because I know Poliwrath has a bunch of energy, but this isn't actually enough to KO. Not even close, so yeah. Have to no-shield this because I'm out of shields. Take a Dynamic Punch, which does a lot of damage. Switch out to Snorlax, and I am able to lick down just before Poliwrath is able to get to another Dynamic Punch. Gliscor is going to come out, so I'm grateful that I was able to get that energy lead on Poliwrath, but this is going to be really, really tight regardless. I'm going to throw this next one. I let like a half of a turn in extra on that wing attack, so yeah, not really pulling ahead as much as I am, kind of just maintaining even. Take the Earthquake, but Snorlax can definitely survive that. I'm going to be able to get this next Body Slam out, and this will not KO. The Licks will. I just need to be able to catch the move that I know he has. I tried to switch out thinking maybe he was going to throw it right away, and he did not. So, yeah. Not quite able to pull out a win on this game, but that was a really, really close game, considering the desync and my terrible misplay with Swampert, and forgetting that, like, you know, I don't win CMP against Escavalier. That was definitely a winnable game. Next up, against No Treble Clef. Shout out to No Treble. He's not on my team or anything. He's just a good friend. So I'm going to bring Snorlax out against his Gyarados. Unfezant was a very strong lead against Toxicroak, and the two things that I have that are not Snorlax do really well against Tox. So I'm in a pretty good position. I don't really need to fight for Switch. But I also can't really lose Switch with Snorlax into Gyarados unless I let Gyarados build up a bunch of energy beforehand and don't do any damage. Able to lick the rest of the way down, and I have a move ready, so I am just going to spam out this Body Slam because I'm fully expecting Tox to come back out and counter me down. So, Tox gets 2 counters in. Now I'm going to send out Unfezant, and there's a Nidoqueen in the back. So, yeah. Like, yeah. This is just, I'm sorry, No Trouble. This is just really hard countering him the whole way. So I'm not going to shield the first move because Swampert doesn't actually, you know, get KO'd from an Earth Power. Certainly not from a non-Shadow Nidoqueen. So I'm just going to spam this out. I got a shield, and now I get another shield. So at this point, I definitely can, like, double shield safely. Like, from here, Earth Power would bring me really, really low, which would honestly probably be fine. But yeah, because this one is being thrown here, it can't be an Earth Power. It doesn't have enough energy. Tox comes back in. I could have just thrown the Hydro Cannon, and that would have totally taken Toxicroak out. There wouldn't have been an issue, but I'm going to send out Unfezant anyway. And No Trouble just stops attacking. He could just top left and leave, but he's opting to stay in anyway, so I am just going to BM Hyper Beam him. And I don't know, maybe he was just trying to be cool, help me out, let me Hyper Beam for content, because people love seeing things get beamed, but it was actually just so that he would get a friendship interaction, because if you leave, you don't get a friendship interaction, and it's hard to get those with me, because I'm not, like, I'm not even good at opening gifts. Wouldn't say I'm not great. Not good. I'm just straight bad at straight up bad at opening gifts. So, you know, encountering me in the wild, if you don't get your friendship interaction, I guess it feels like kind of a waste. So there we go. But yeah, that was a 4 out of 5 set with Unfezant. This is all taking place at like page 1 leaderboard height, by the way. I don't know why this is working. So Unfezant into Shadowlax. This is not an amazing lead for Unfezant because Unfezant doesn't like neutral matchups. It needs like a type advantage. I'm going to switch out and actually manage to make a catch on my Snorlax with this Body Slam. So that puts me into a pretty good spot because now my Unfezant has energy. The Snorlax and mine are pretty much even health, even energy. So I'm going to throw this superpower here, which a little premature, I guess. If this is a superpower, it will KO me, so I'm going to shield, and it turns out to be a Body Slam. So, all right, but this one's coming out too early, so this one can't be a superpower, so I'm going to no-shield this. It is a Body Slam, and I'm going to lick the whole way down. And I make it. Just barely. Like, that Snorlax pretty much went down with a Body Slam, and a Trevenant comes out. So here's that freaking tree I've been looking for mostly this game. So I should definitely have thrown my Body Slam instead of not throwing it. I mean, it wouldn't have done a ton of damage, but it would have done damage. You know, some damage, obviously a lot better than no damage. Gonna throw this Sky Attack, and I really should probably have not even done that. Should have just swapped out to my Swampert right away. So I'm going to absorb this Hydro Cannon, and I will obviously end up absorbing the next one too. That is fine. I'm not going to shield here. Because my Swampert has good IVs, I can survive 2 Hydro Cannons, and it's fine. My opponent sneaks in an extra Mud Shot, which helps kind of pull them ahead on energy, which is not great for me. I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon, and I'm going to spam out this next one as soon as I can, because my Swampert loses CMP, so I just have to get the damage out. And if I could just get this out, and I'd be able to KO, but not quite able to make it there. But that's okay. So Unfezant is pretty squishy, which means it will definitely win CMP against things. That's how much the Shadow Ball does. There we go. This was the game where they threw a Shadow Ball at me. That's how much the Shadow Ball does. More than the Seed Bomb, but not that much more. And I'm able to take them out. And I have saved my shield, and I have Hyper Beam. So I am just going to Hyper Beam the Swampert to finish the game. And that is wildly excessive because a Sky Attack would have been enough, but that is a GG. Yeah. All right, next up against Matt. Unfezant into Obstagoon. So as far as fighters go, Obstagoon is definitely the most popular one in this cup because it, does really well against Trevenant, which is very popular right now, which is why I'm running Unfezant in the first place. So I will no-shield the first Night Slash in case they get the boost, and I need to shield the second one. And yeah, I'm just going to throw my Sky Attack here. It does that much. Like, this Obstagoon is still kind of healthy to farm down, but I mean, I'm going to let that go, and now I'm going to bring Swampert out. I'm not going to shield the first move because this Obstagoon still has not boosted, so there's not really a lot of danger. Excuse me. And I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon here before he gets to another one, because if he gets to another Night Slash, I will shield it. And he shields. So, alright. I'm going to shield this, and because I was able to sneak that Mud Shot in after they, stuck in their counter, kind of leveling that, I'm able to Mud Shot the whole way down. And have energy for Gengar. So Gengar is obviously not amazing against Swampert, especially when I have a gigantic energy lead like this. I'm not throwing my energy because if I don't and just store it up, if I get to 5, it will kind of really, really pressure Gengar to just throw the Shadow Punch. And I can catch that on Snorlax, to which it does like no damage. So I have a ton of energy left over on Swampert. Back-to-back Hydro Cannons. So all I really need to do is get this take this Charizard's last shield, or, just KO it. Either way would be fine. I'm going to no-shield this, and it turned out to be a Blast Burn, so that's unfortunate. I am able to get this Body Slam out at the very last second. Thankfully, my Snorlax has pretty good IVs, and yeah, managed to take that Charizard down. Get a few licks in against Gengar, which honestly does so much. I'm able to just Mud Shot down, don't even throw my energy. But yeah, I Mud Shotted down there and had like 100 energy left on Swampert. But yeah, that's a GG. Managed to take that game. So next up against Softove. Shout out to Softove, is a member of my Sylph faction. So Unfezant into Escavalier. This is okay. I mean, the counters hit for neutral, so they do kind of a lot. This Sky Attack would do devastating damage, so they do shield. But Unfezant does resist at least Escavalier's normal moves, so there's not really any need to shield. So Soph is just going to store up that energy, switch out into Gliscor, which thankfully I do have a good counter for in Swampert. I managed to catch a Night Slash on this switch-in, so that is fantastic, because now it means I can throw my second Hydro Cannon and just take Gliscor out before they get to an Earthquake, so I don't have to worry about shielding. So, managed to kind of win lead-ish. I mean, Escavalier does have energy, and she is going to throw it here. I'm going to shield because Swampert does outpace, so I will be able to kind of chip away at this a little bit. Sneak in a counter, which is far from ideal, but even then, even with a counter being snuck in, Swampert still outpaces. Gonna shield here also because I will be able to get to my next Hydro Cannon. And I spam it out right away, and yeah, Soph actually makes a catch on Lapras. That is a really good catch. This Hydro Cannon does pretty much nothing. That's alright. I'm going to store up a Hydro Cannon before switching out. That way I have, some play left, where I can just come in and say surprise and Hydro Cannon something, rather than just coming in and trying to build up energy. So I'm going to end up eating this Skull Bash with Snorlax. That does quite a bit, and actually that defense boost means that this superpower won't actually KO. So I am not going to be able to throw my next move here. The Surf is going to take me out. I probably should have thrown the superpower a little bit late, so I could have done a little bit more damage with my my licks, because I'm just barely not able to take them out. Gonna throw this Sky Attack. take Lapras out, and I should have switched in the middle here and tried to snipe. I was trying to switch, but for whatever reason, I must have overtapped and just threw an extra move. And yeah, Escavalier is going to be able to end with energy, win CMP against Swampert, which is a thing that happens to me a lot, losing CMP to Viscaf. And yeah, she managed to take that game. But yeah, that was a GG. All right, next up against No Game, No Life. Unfezant into Obstagoon. Obstagoon, very popular lead right now. I'm going to try to play this out mostly the same way that I have before. No shielding the first move and throwing the Sky Attack. So sometimes they've shielded, sometimes they haven't. This opponent opts to shield, which honestly, I feel like that's not great for me. Like, I shield this Night Slash, but that really, I don't think that's a good move, because that puts me in a position where Obstagoon now is kind of just compelled to just farm Unfezant down. Like, they don't shield that Sky Attack, and they don't need to. This leaves them very low, so they're, you know, in a farmable range, but that Obstagoon has so much energy, and they insta-switched out into Nidoqueen, and there couldn't possibly be a worse thing to insta-switch into a Swampert. So I build up to what could be an Earthquake, and I'm just going to throw this Hydro Cannon. I don't get a shield, and that's fine. I'm going to throw this next Hydro Cannon here. They're deliberately building up energy to try to get to the Earth Power, not throwing the Poison Sting, which is definitely the right move. If they threw the Poison Fang, I would have farmed them the whole way down. So it's definitely better that they don't do that and just build up and pressure me to throw my energy. And there is a Crobat in the back. So that is fine with me. I'm going to throw this Hydro Cannon, I get a shield, and now I'm going to switch out just to kind of clear my debuff because my defense was debuffed into Snorlax, and I'm going to build up some energy and try to just leave myself with some energy before throwing anything in case Obstagoon switches in. I want to be able to spam out a Body Slam as soon as I can. That Body Slam lands, and then then my opponent is gonna switch out into Obstagoon. I'm not gonna shield this because, like, I'm pretty confident I can have Swampert come in and just finish this off. I really, really thought I was gonna be able to reach that Body Slam, but was not quite able to make it. I am going to have to shield this move. Hopefully he doesn't get the boost because that would make this a lot worse. Could also have just, not shielded the first move and shielded the second move. But I am going to survive this Night Slash, manage to take them out, and I'm going to spam out this Hydro Cannon, and Hydro Cannon will be enough to take out Crobat, and I managed to take that game. That's a GG. That was really close, though. Obstagoon scary. All right. Next up against Kip. Unfezant into Charizard. This is okay-ish. This is a Dragon Breath Charizard, so I will be able to get to the Sky Attack before they can get to a Blast Burn, so I can pretty safely just cut up to here and throw this. Blast Burn will KO Unfezant from here, but Dragon Claw will definitely not. Regardless, I'm going to switch out into Snorlax to try to catch a move, and yeah. I'm greeted with an Obstagoon, which is far from ideal, but yeah. Snorlax at least can hurt Obstagoon back. So took that Cross Chop, and now I'm just going to go straight Superpower. I'm not going to try to bait, because even if they shield this one, I can just land the next move. And they must have underestimated my energy, because this Obstagoon definitely could have taken me out, but not going to. I'm going to throw this Body Slam. Maybe I should have left myself a little bit lower so that it would get a little bit less farm for Charizard, but that is okay. Swampert can absorb Charizard's energy decently. So Dragon Claw hits for neutral, and Blast Burn hits for single resisted, but Blast Burn still does more and is more energy efficient, even with that, just because of Stab and because Blast Burn is such a high efficiency and heavy hitting move. So I correctly shield the Blast Burn, which is fantastic. Not going to shield this because this can only be a Dragon Claw, but I really didn't need to take that damage. I should have just thrown my Hydro Cannon one turn faster. I didn't realize that Charizard had that much energy. It was so much more energy than I thought he had. Wouldn't have actually ended up mattering, though. What would have been better would have been taking slightly more damage and getting a little bit more energy, because the thing in the back, Swampert, obviously has no fast move pressure to another Swampert, or at least very, very little. And having a little more energy would have been pivotal. So I am going to throw this Hydro Cannon here, get the last shield. And if I'm trying to make a catch on Unfezant, but Swampert wasn't throwing as soon as they had it, builds up extra energy. I get to my Sky Attack, but I'm not able to throw it. Really good counting by my opponent, or they just threw as soon as they had back-to-back because that's what happened. And yeah, able to take me out there. Really good counting or very good energy management, but I just was barely not able to pull that game out. But yeah, that's a GG. All right, still a positive set, 3 out of 5. Leading with Unfezant, which shouldn't work at all. Unfezant's not really that good. It's just I was seeing a lot of things that happened to be weak to Unfezant. Like if the meta shifts at all, Unfezant will not be able to pull its weight, but those sets were enough to pull me back up to number 23 on the leaderboard. So, I mean, I'm not recommending Unfezant, but I'm not telling you not to run it. I don't know. Normally I can solidly recommend my team. Run Unfezant if you see a lot of trees and fighters for whatever reason. Or if you just like hitting things with Hyper Beam from something that is just so out of left field that just people don't know how to react, don't see it coming, don't know it has Hyper Beam. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Don't forget to do the things that you know you're supposed to do at the ends of videos, though. Even though this video is kind of weird, do the things anyway. It really helps me out. Helps me grow. Helps more people see content that I make. And, you know, that would help you because it'll get other people to run Unfezant. And Unfezant's not, like, great, but it, I don't know, it did work. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll see you guys on the next one.